What's going on, guys? We are about to dive into how you can start using LinkedIn to land UGC clients. Going to be going into depth on this one, the 4-step process for starting to land deals on LinkedIn. Be showing you how to set up your profile, what you should be posting on LinkedIn, how to connect with decision makers, reaching out to people on LinkedIn. So we are going to be going through the entire process in this video. Sorry if the lighting, the camera is not that great right now. Still working on the setup here. Also, if you're not on the Brands Meet Creators newsletter, you got to get on that. We send some crazy valuable stuff every week. So check that out. Leave that linked up below. But let's get into LinkedIn right now. So I want to start off why LinkedIn, right? You probably heard a lot of hype around getting on LinkedIn as a content creator, how it's super powerful. But let me just walk you through kind of a scenario, right? I tell people this scenario and it often opens their eyes to the power of LinkedIn. Let's say you're a creator in the beauty space, right? You want to start landing deals with some of these skincare companies. Now, most of us here are familiar with TikTok, Instagram, some of these platforms. Let's say you go to TikTok and you just search skincare companies, and then a bunch of skincare companies pop up on TikTok. You go to their account, you press a button in the settings, and now you can see everyone that works at that skincare company. You find people on the marketing team, you find the CMOs, the CEOs, all in TikTok, and you can even request them to follow you. So now the entire marketing team at that skincare company, they're going to start to see your videos, and you can do this every day with multiple companies, multiple decision makers, right? So you can do this every day. And then as months pass, now you're just connected with hundreds of executives at these skincare companies, right? So you're literally building a following of targeted decision makers. That's exactly how LinkedIn works, right? You can go out and request the type of people to follow you. You can send a connection request and they will start to see your content. So just imagine this. You post a recent UGC video, right? Or you post, a client win. And now it gets seen by 600 people, just a number I made up, 600 people that work at skincare companies, right? It could be much more than that, even thousands. CEOs, CMOs, marketing team members. And you just rinse and repeat this every single day. You're going to start to get flooded with inbounds if you do this correctly. So a little screenshot of a tweet. Someone tweeted this at me the other day. They just got on LinkedIn, right? First time they got 2 inbounds on their first day. That's the kind of stuff that we're seeing with LinkedIn. So highly recommend getting on there as a creator. So let's walk through the 4 steps that you need to take to succeeding with LinkedIn, right? Just like getting on LinkedIn, just making an account, it's not going to cut it. I want you to follow this proven process that we're about to go through here. So the first step is going to be setting up your profile, getting it fully optimized. Then we're going to go into the content creation process. I'm actually going to be going deep in this video. As you guys see, I got a ton of these LinkedIn tabs open. I'll be showing you different types of content that you can create there, what works really well. Then connecting with the decision makers, how to find them, and then the outreach process. So I'm going to be walking through this whole thing right now. First step is getting the profile set up and optimized, right? Like every single platform, you got to get a profile. There's 4 keys to this that we've noticed. First one, get a professional headshot. You don't want any picture where you're way in the background. Someone can't really even see what it is. Don't do a group photo. If you don't have a professional headshot, just use your phone, use your camera, get against a blank background and get a nice looking headshot. Also, I recommend creating the same profile picture across all of your platforms, right? You want to have the same photo on LinkedIn as you do on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. That just gives you some continuity, right? So if someone sees you on LinkedIn and they see you on Instagram, they're going to be able to connect you easier, right? So we remember that little icon, what that little photo looks like. Part 2, you want to get an optimized bio. Essentially what you're just doing here is you're just making it simple, right? You're letting people know exactly what you do. You create, UGC videos for brands in the fitness space, whatever it is, short, simple. Now the banner and the featured section, I think these 2 are not stressed enough with how important they are, right? The banner, this is going to be the biggest thing that someone sees right when they come to your page, right? Massive real estate. We want to make sure we're using this to stand out, right? We want our banners to pop. Don't just put UGC creator on there. It's kind of boring. This is the largest part of the page when someone visits, so we want to grab their attention here. Worked with over 200 brands, put it in your banner. Have over 10 million monthly views, put it in your banner. Featured in Forbes, put it on your banner. So I want to show you a couple of banners that I thought were super, super eye-catching. So this is Victoria. She went a different route than 99% of creators who back here would just put like creator in the food and cooking space, whatever, right? Instead, she like shows you, right? She's showing you these videos, 2.7 million, 2.3, 200,000, 400,000, right? And like just from looking at these videos, I get the feel of what she does, right? She doesn't have to say it. She's showing it instead. Thought that was really cool. Really, really good way to stand out. Here's another one that I love, right? The first thing you see is just 750 million views this year, right? This just says right off the bat, like, oh, these guys are legit, right? 750 views. That's a ton. They can read a little bit more. You know, UGC video content. They got some screenshots over here. So I thought this one looked really good. But yeah, you'll see a lot of creators where it's just like, you know, something super bland in the background and just say UGC content creator. You want to make it pop a little bit more. Also, I highly recommend not doing a banner where it's just like a beach or like trees or something like that. I've seen that before where people just kind of like waste this space, right? They'll put like the city skyline or something back there. We definitely want to make use of this. Next part of the profile, the final part is going to be this featured section. This is the final part that we're going to talk about today, at least. This is another one that I see is like crazy underutilized. This is something that it's going to pop to someone as they scroll through your account. And we basically want to use this like a funnel, right? We want to get people over to our portfolio. And so I'll just show, for example, on some of these accounts. So yeah, you're scrolling through and like you see the banner, you see the profile photo, you know, a little bit about them in the bio. And then one of the first things you're going to see are these featured sections, right? They're kind of these like clickable cards. So they got the portfolio, the one sheeter here. And this is kind of how you want to use it, right? You want to link your portfolio up and you want to get someone to click and kind of take that next step with you. All right, so once you have your profile all set up, it's time for step 2, which is going to be creating some authority building content. Now, this is where a lot of people get it wrong. Just because LinkedIn is a business platform doesn't mean you have to drastically change your tone or your style or your content creation process, right? A lot of people come onto LinkedIn and they feel kind of like nervous about it because they're connected with like their ex-boss from like 4 years ago and like people from high school and just like all these random connections that are like, oh, I don't know, like I feel weird creating content over here now. I want to let you know that the stuff that does well is typically when you're a little bit more like relaxed, a little bit more loose, kind of having fun, content that seems like maybe it's not even meant for LinkedIn. And I'm going to go through a bunch of examples of stuff that's done really well. A lot of times what I'll see other people do too is just like they just take their videos from like TikTok and Reels and they just post them on LinkedIn and that's it. And just kind of cross their fingers and hope that that's going to work. I'll let you know that that's not the case. You're not going to be able to just take videos and just post them and that's it. You're going to have to add some additional context. I'll show you how you can leverage videos that work really well on LinkedIn too. So let's jump into a couple of examples of stuff that's done really well for me before. So another thing that people often think about LinkedIn is they have to make these super long posts, which is just not the case. So this was one of my better performing post. It has almost 7,000 impressions, over 150 likes, bunch of comments, some reposts. And it was just 2 lines, right? One post, one video can legitimately change your life, your business, your entire world. But you might need to make 10,000 before the one happens. So there's kind of this like inspirational vibe to it, which inspirational posts, those work extremely well on LinkedIn. The other thing that you're going to notice in most of these posts that I'm sharing is there's a video that goes along, there's a photo that goes along with the post. And oftentimes these photos, they're not even related to the post, right? What I'm seeing work really well are like photos that look like they should be on like an Instagram story, right? Or an Instagram post, not necessarily what you would think of your traditional like LinkedIn photo, right? So this is just a photo of me sitting right back there on the porch, laptop, just looks like something that'll be on my Instagram story, right? This is the stuff that's working really well. Here's another one. Look at that. Like, I think I actually posted that on Instagram, right? Kind of like the selfie photo. That stuff's working really well. 6,000 impressions. That's one of my better ones. And so this style, this one was a little bit longer, but this is a style of post that works really well. It's like what I call the story post, right? So I was part of a business that went from 0 to 500K per month, then absolutely collapsed. So like I'm telling this story in here about something that happened to me, something that I experienced, and that's kind of related to business. So if you can tie stories with business, that stuff works so well on LinkedIn. All right, let's go to the next style. So here's another one. Take a look at the photo, right? Like I mentioned before, this looks like something that could be on like an Instagram story. 6,000 impressions. That's one of the better ones for me. Super short, nothing crazy here. Biggest mistake creators make, thinking they have to wait for brands to reach out to them. In reality, for brands reaching out to you, they're reaching out to a dozen other creators. If you want to win, stop playing defense, start playing offense, right? So again, something that's super short, kind of inspirational, and it just has a photo that like looks like this should be on my Instagram stories, right? So your posts don't have to be crazy long, right? This probably took me 2 minutes to write. You can write a bunch of these in one day and get them all scheduled out for like a month in advance, which is that's what I do as well. Here's another one. Look at this. It's like a smoothie bowl at the place I stayed at in Nicaragua. Looks like it has no business being on LinkedIn, right? This is like an Instagram story. It's the stuff that does well. And this post was 5 lines and it got 4,000 impressions. Okay, here's another one where this one did really well because we're asking for engagement, right? We're asking a question that people are going to want to interact with. So super short post, right? I spend a super amount of time on TikTok. Most of the time I justify it to myself, blah, blah, blah. For those of you that work in social media, how do you balance this? So we're ending with a question. It's super short. And look at this, 44 comments. That's why this one got over 6,000 impressions. We have so many people commenting in here. So this is a great way to end your post is by asking a question that people are going to want to engage with. Okay, this type of post is arguably the best post that you can do. It's kind of the like accomplishment. 20,000. I think this was actually my best post ever. So whenever you kind of hit a milestone, right? Even if it's not related to business, right? You just got married, you had a kid, you just quit your job, you just moved, right? You got your client a 1 million view video, something like that. Those type of posts work so well on LinkedIn. People just want to congratulate you, right? People want to kind of like feel like they're part of that success. So whenever you hit a milestone or you have a big accomplishment, you're going to want to share that on LinkedIn. The other thing I did here too is I didn't just say like, woohoo, hit 100,000 today, right? I kind of spun it a little bit. This has changed my life. 500 days and 1,000 videos later, we hit 100,000. Here are 3 things I learned. So I made it kind of educational as well as tying in this like pat on the back type of feel. And this one blew up. So yeah, whenever you hit some type of achievement, some type of milestone, auto post on LinkedIn. All right, here's a video one. So sometimes I'll see people jump onto LinkedIn and they just literally take their TikToks and reels and just repost it to LinkedIn with like no caption and that's it. Don't do that. That's not going to work. You're going to see like almost no engagement on your account if you just like only repost videos. I mean, give it a try. I've actually heard from like one person that worked for them just because they have a particular style that seems to resonate well with the LinkedIn crowd. But what I like to do is I won't post all videos, but I'll post some that seem more relevant, right? So this one, for example, it's a video about me talking about how Bang Energy was getting sued, right? So kind of makes sense because it's more in this like business context. And then I also added some more context to it and just post this video and say, hey, watch my TikTok on LinkedIn. So I added some context to it and I asked some questions, right? So people are actually going to engage. And then typically what's going to happen is people are going to read this. If they're interested more, then they're going to watch the video. So this part's super important. And yeah, as you see, a bunch of comments, some reposts, over 6,000 impressions. All right. So once you got your profile set up, you're starting to create content. Now let's talk about putting some connection requests out there, right? So what's kind of cool about LinkedIn versus other platforms is, TikTok, for example, you put content and now people come to you. With LinkedIn, you can actually like reach out to people and get them to follow you, right? Those are these connection requests. And so LinkedIn doesn't have like a hard number necessarily But typically what I've seen is like you want to keep your connection request to under 20 per day, probably even lower if you're a new account. If your account has been there for a while, you can probably get away with a higher amount. 20 is kind of the ballpark number that I recommend staying under. So here's how you're going to go out and find some of these decision makers. Now, I do recommend using LinkedIn Sales Navigator. There's so much you can do there. It's not free. They have a free trial. But today, what I'll be showing you is just what you can do with like the free plan. So you're going to want to search for brands in your space, and then you're going to want to go to this People's tab. And then depending on the size of the company, that will determine who we're actually going to connect with and who we're going to reach out to. For example, if we're reaching out to a massive company, right? Let's say they have like 5,000 employees. You're not going to be reaching out to the CEO. You're not going to get a response there, or at least I highly doubt it. What you should be reaching out to, or who you should be reaching out to, are the influencer marketing managers, right? People on the marketing team. If it's a smaller company, right, say 15 employees, then you're probably going to be reaching out to the founders, the CEOs, the CMOs. So the bigger the company, the lower kind of down the chain you're going to be reaching out to. So let me show you exactly how this works. All right, so what you're going to want to do is just go in here. We're going to search for a brand. I pulled up this brand right here. We see they have 700, almost 800 employees on LinkedIn. So pretty sizable company. You can come down here, hit this people tab, and now we are going to see all of the people that work at this company. And we can even search by keyword, right? So let's type in influencer. Cool. So we have 44 employees that are tagged under influencer. Global influencer marketing and partnerships manager. That's perfect. Global talent and influencer experience manager. That's perfect. So these are all people that we would want to reach out to. Global influencer marketer and partnerships manager. Again, perfect. So let me show you what to do. If it just says message here, I actually wouldn't really recommend just like going with a message right off the bat. I'm personally more of a connection guy to start. So what you want to do is you're going to click on them. And then once you come to their profile, you're going to be able to connect. And if you don't see it here, which sometimes you might not be able to, you're going to hit the more, and then typically you'll see it here. So maybe it'll say follow here and then connect. Follow essentially means it's like a one-way street, right? You're following them, but nothing happens with like them seeing you. So I wouldn't really go the follow route. You're going to want to just hit that connect button. And then let's talk about whether or not you should add a note. So I personally don't like sending notes. We've actually tested a bunch of this, note versus no note, to see what the acceptance rate is. And here's kind of how it plays out. If you're going to send a note, and you know what most people do, they say like, hey, I really want to add you to my professional network. Like, thanks for connecting. Don't do that. You're going to see way lower acceptance rates from doing that. If you are going to send a note, it needs to be like hyper personal. Like, hey, I was listening to your podcast and blah, blah, blah. Like, it's got to be super personal for that to help. And so that just takes a ton of time. So I really recommend just sending no personal note at all. All right, so getting back to the post, let's talk about step 4. So we got our profile optimized. We are creating content. We're connecting with decision makers. Now let's talk about outreach. So if you nail steps 1, 2, and 3, you're going to start to get inbounds. But if you want to start playing offense, right, pouring some gas on the fire, I do recommend doing some outreach here. And what's nice about this is, you know, most UGC creators, you're doing outreach with cold email to brands who probably have no idea who you are. But now what's really nice with you sending out these connection requests daily is now you have a warm audience, right? You have brands who are now you're connected with. They've probably seen some of your content. You've at least come across, you know, their screen once or twice. So this audience is going to be better to reach out to than cold email. And so I recommend just doing it directly in the LinkedIn DMs, right? You want to use a similar strategy to the emails as well. Short, sweet, right to the point. Add value when you can. Don't always just ask for something. Lead with some value. And so I really recommend testing out outreach on LinkedIn as opposed to only sending cold emails. Give it some time though. Don't just connect with someone and then hit them with a message right away. I recommend delaying maybe like 10 days, 2 weeks, even longer, just to give them some time to actually see you, right? They're going to start seeing your content. You're going to start engaging on their content. And so kind of building that relationship, that's when you're going to reach out. So quick summary, 4-step process that you want to follow to succeed with LinkedIn. Get that profile optimized, start creating content. I recommend daily, start sending out connection requests, and then start doing some outreach. So get on LinkedIn. And if you're not on the Brands Meet Creators newsletter, highly recommend getting on that as well. See you guys in the next one.